That is my G5 Turret Ultra, and it had a few jobs on the farm, well 3 in fact, but what's one better than G5? Yeah, it's G6. Yes, this is the G6 Dome from UniFi, and in this video we're gonna put it up on the wall here instead of the G5 Turret Ultra, but also look at the range of G6 cameras because there's a few now, and it's maybe not entirely obvious which is for what scenario. So I'll give my opinion on what that is, but we're gonna first have a look at the G6 Dome, take it out of the box, and see what we got. It's kind of heavy, yeah. All right, let's get the G6 Dome out of the box. And of course, as always, I know you love it. Oh, not as clean. Oh. So in here, ta-da, is of course a camera. There's the dome. And it's quite a large unit. I'm just now wondering if it'll fit on the wall with the slats. Anyway, we'll figure that out. Here is the, oh, nice, okay. This is the dome camera itself. Wow, it is heavy. That is all aluminium alloy type thing or something. Wow, that is very different from the G4 Dome, which I did a video on a while ago. I never did try the G5 Dome, so we're going straight to G6. We're gonna put the Cat 6 stuff through there as well, and then it goes in somewhere. I'm not sure entirely how we're gonna get this off. Surely we don't have to take the screws out, I don't think. Anyway, I'll figure that out, how we get this off so we can have the cabling inside. All right, then we have a mounting template here, and then we have some mounting equipment. So this, I'm not sure what this is. This is a, all right, so this is probably for mounting it again on a, it's not pole mounted. Anyway, then we have, oh, desiccant. Okay. I now know what desiccant is after I used one on the AI LPR. So this is, inside of here is this sort of moisture absorbing material. So we have to put that inside that as well somewhere. Okay, right. It's a bit more involved than I thought. All right, there's the desiccant. And we have a tool. Look at that, Ubiquity branded. So we do need, what's that for? And there's a, oh, that's aluminium. That's not very light. Okay, this is different. I've tried this before. Cool. All right, something new. Very good. And of course, we have a bunch of grommets, and we have, here's a tool. There is a screwdriver, I think. Yes. Also, maybe we do have to take these off. Ooh, this is getting involved. Okay, cool. And then there's the usual networking tool, and there's probably some screws and stuff here. Yep, a bunch of screws. If we want to mount it in the ceiling, then we use that plate. And there's some literature, and then there are these grommets as well. So I think we are going to have to take these off. All right, cool. That's what the screwdriver is for, which is here. But yeah, let's install it on the wall. All right, first we've got to get the old G5 turret off the wall. And this is the rat tail design. So slightly different setup than what we're going to put up. So let's see how that fits the wall. All right, the old 2K camera is off. So let's put the new 4K camera on. Right, so this is the mounting plate, and it's going to go about there. And I reckon I can use the same holes from the mounting plate for the G5 Turret Ultra. That would be cool. It lines up, and there's a massive hole here because once upon a time there was a G5 Dome Ultra here, and that needed that huge hole for the rat tail sort of arrangement that was in there. So anyway, I think that'll work out. I'm going to put it this way, and I remember to put the security tab at the bottom so I can actually release it, otherwise I'm going to get in trouble with that. Tell me how I know. And then I got to take this apart, so we got to unscrew the white bit here, take that off, and then the cable's going to come up through, or in through this, up through here and in, and then we'll plug it in. So a bit to do, but first let's get this on here. All right, so we've unscrewed the lid here, which means we've got to get this cable in through that hole there, and then that goes into the LAN port, which is there. So it sort of goes in and around. So that's, yeah, and then we just plug it in, we attach it and adjust it and button it up. Okay. So we've got to put the grommet on so we don't get any ants and other nasties, moisture into it. So that goes on there, and then that goes into that little hole there. And then we have this aluminium sort of tightener thingy, and that goes on top like that. And then before I tighten it, we're just going to make sure it actually goes in. So we need a bit more rope here. And of course the instructions are quite clear about not pinching that cable, so you got to have a little bit of a loop on it so it's not too, I guess, acute of an angle. And then we put this back on. Sort of like that. And then the last bit, UniFi's instructions are very adamant that there can't be any thread left, so we got to use the supplied tool to then just make sure we get all the way to the bottom, because it gets pretty damn tight. But I guess that's how we make sure that we have a nice environment without any moisture or anything. All right, so that is now, that's tight. So we put it back on the thing here, on the mount. There we go, like that. So next, I'll just adopt it into the mobile app so that I can position the camera before I put that on, because obviously I gotta screw that back on. Right, so then we've got to position the camera. So I've got the app here and I've adopted it. It's been updated, yada, yada, yada. But obviously you want to do this before we put on the hat. Right, otherwise we've got to button it all in and out, in and out. It's just a, yeah, waste of time. So I can go this way, up and down. So you can see here on the screen. Oh, there's my head. Hello. So I probably want to go a bit more down, like that. And then I can turn the whole thing as well, I think. Like this, I can turn the whole thing like that, and it sort of goes a bit on the side, but that's sort of the view I can get here in the carport. I'm okay with that. It's a bit on an angle, it was before as well. See how little we can get the angle going here. So obviously there's me, there's some lights, there's you, there's the camera, hello. I think probably like that, if I just climb down a bit so my big noggin's not in the way. Yeah, that's not bad. I think that's about as good as I can get it here, and that's okay. You know, that'll cover, there'll be 2 cars here, that'll cover it all right. So now we're happy with that. There we go. We got the blue light here, so everything's happy. I'll put the app away, and then we'll button this on. So we just got to add this, put this on here, like that. Look at that, how neat that is. And as always with UniFi, I think it's always, these screws don't actually fall out. They're stuck in there, so we don't got to lose them. And then we get special tool, we button it all up. Drip. Oh, desiccant. Desiccant. It says here, attach desiccant here. I almost forgot. So that's obviously to absorb any moisture that might come in. So if you've used any of the UniFi Dome cameras before, I have had a bit of an issue with condensation inside the dome. And obviously this should solve that, I hope. So this, does it come with a little sticky bit on there? Very nice, so that's a little bit of a sticky patch there. So then it goes here, and like that. Now I had the question before as well with the AI LPR camera that I did down the gate of how do you maintain the desiccant. I'm not aware if you can buy new desiccant from UniFi, I'm not sure, but there was lots of advice of how you could dry this out once in a while and so on. So there's obviously a bit of a maintenance routine with the desiccant to keep it absorbing moisture. Yeah. Anyway, I'm not sure what that is. Let me know down in the comments if you have a good idea. So now we can put it on. Yep. And we'll button up these 3 screws. Like so, and one more step, and I kind of forgot that was in the box. There's a little wipe for the dome, because we want to make sure that it's completely free of fingerprints, because anything on that glass dome with IR, infrared light, will light up and you can't see anything. So we take off the plastic like this. Very good. And then I have a little wipe that came with, it was in the box. I thought this was the instructions. It was a wipe. So we're gonna put that on here. Like that. Look at that. Little, very neat. Couple of cardboard in it. And we just wipe that nicely. It's even got UniFi branding, of course it does. Like so. And if you live anywhere where there's insects, and spiders in particular, this is probably going to be a common occurrence that we have to clean that plastic dome. So keep the wipe. Cool. All right, that's installed. It seems to be working. So let's jump in and have a look at the specs and how they compare to the other G6 cameras. So before we get into the specs for the G6 Dome, how about subscribing to the channel? I know! This year, I'm still going for 50,000 subscribers and it seems ambitious, but with your help, we can do it. Yeah, so click that red subscribe button down below. I really appreciate it. And maybe you can become a member of the channel or check out the merch like this Spit Happens mug that I designed. It's good, isn't it? You can fill it with tea. Because it's winter here, so it's kind of chilly. Anyway, enough of that. Let's have a look at the specs. So I'm here on the UniFi store website, and this is the G6 Dome. And it is one of a range of new G6 cameras, and I'll get to more of those in just a second. But first, let's just have a look what UniFi says about the G6 Dome. So as it says here, it's an all-weather, vandal-proof 4K PoE camera with 101.8-inch 8 megapixel image sensor, so a 4K sensor. Multi-tops, and that is the AI engine and how well it performs. So tops is tera operations or trillion operations per second. And it has long-range IR night vision, ideal for discrete installations in high-traffic areas. So this is more designed for high-traffic areas and sort of, it sits flush to a thing, right? It's not like the bullet camera that I've done before, the G6 Bullet. It's a different form factor, but more on that in just a second. So you can get some mounts for it here as well. There's the dual mount, so you can get 2 of these, and there's a gang box mounting plate if you need that. But the specs are down here. Yeah, dimensions, it's actually a little bit bigger than I thought it would be. It filled out that whole box pretty much completely. IR night vision, 30 meters is what it says. I think that's right. It's going to be a little bit tricky to test where that is mounted because it's up in that roof space kind of thing. So we'll just get the carport, but we'll have a look at the night vision in just a second as well. Of course, it's a G6 camera, so it does face recognition, license plate recognition, and smart detections. Now, we probably can't really test the license plate recognition, but I don't think that's a big issue considering I have tested it with both the G6 PTZ, the G6 Instant, and the G6 Bullet, and they all work really well. I would assume this does as well. So let's see if we can find a number plate. If not, meh, I don't think it's a big deal. Resolution, of course, it's a 4K camera. It has a 100 megabit or fast Ethernet RJ45 port, and again, often there are comments going, oh, it should have been gigabit. I don't think it matters. Like, you can easily transmit the data for a 4K camera over 100 megabit. Yeah, so it's fine. Field of view, 109 degrees horizontal, and that was sort of that wide angle. You saw it a little bit on the phone when I showed you, but we'll get to more of that in just a second. It has a microphone, so no speaker. It's not two-way. It is IP66 rated, so proper outdoor, and you can tell with that enclosure it's solid. Yeah, and then it has IK10 rating. So this is the vandal or tamper resistance, but there's sort of how much impact can this withstand. So IK10 is it's a scale of how much force from what height can it withstand. So 10 is quite high. I can't remember the exact details, but you can look it up. IK10 is pretty good for vandal resistance or tamper resistance. You saw how we mounted it, and of course it runs on Protect. The only other thing here is that it has that nice big sensor compared to the G5 cameras, the 101.8 inches. If you want to know more about that sensor size, check out my G6 Instant video because I did go through some of what that means there as well. Has, of course, built-in IR. Here's the weight, 820 grams or 1.8 pounds. It doesn't sound like a whole lot, but it actually felt it feels solid. Like when you picked it up, I didn't have high expectations based on my G4 Dome experience. This is a completely different unit. So yeah, it's quite heavy because there's a lot of metal in it, or aluminium alloy. So that's the specs. Nothing too surprising really. Maybe the vandal resistance or the tamper resistance is the one that stands out here. But let me just compare this to some of the other G6 cameras and talk a bit about when you would use each. All right, I'm going to compare the 4 cameras that I do have. There's also the G6 turret, which I don't have, but I'll mention that and a couple other G6s in after this. So yeah, just stay tuned. In this case, there is the G6 Dome, the G6 Bullet, the G6 Instant, and the G6 PTZ, which I've done videos on all those 3, or now all 4. First of all, in my experience, they are incredibly similar in performance. Now, the G6 Instant is a little bit less because it is much smaller form factor. It's a Wi-Fi camera, etc., such as, like you can see here, the II night vision. That stands out more than the others, mainly because it's a different use case entirely. The G6 Instant is not really outdoor rated. We can see here, if we go down to it's IPX5, the others are IP66. It is much more of a indoor type camera that you just plug into a PowerPoint where you don't have PoE, right? It's a completely different, I think, value proposition. But having said that, it still has the same sensor. It still has facial recognition, number plate recognition, smart detections, still has all of that. So, but check out the video on that in more detail if you want to know about it. It actually also has one of the best intros I've ever done to a video. Then there's the G6 Dome and G6 Bullet. These are very similar on paper. You can, if I just go through the specs here, the dimensions, obviously they're different form factor. One is a bullet camera, one is a dome. Yeah, they both have 30-meter IR. They have the same features. They have the same lens. They have the same ratings apart from the tamper resistance. That dome, like metal thing you put over, just adds to the rating for that. You can mount them similar places. Obviously, the Bullet you can move more around, you'd think. Same networking, same frames per second, same sensor, same length. Like everything is pretty much the same between those two. They're both very sort of bulky, nice. You solid. You feel like you get something for your money. That's for sure. What it really comes down to is the form factor. Do you need a bullet camera or do you need a dome camera? Like, is it for a high traffic area or is it something that needs to stick out? Like, that's pretty much entirely what it depends on, right? So those two, in my book, are incredibly similar. And then, of course, we have the G6 PTZ, which, again, is a different use case scenario. So this is a pan tilt zoom camera. It moves. You can do patrol modes. It zooms in 10 times. It's just a completely different object or lens that's in it. The glass in it is very different, and also the price is much higher, right? I'm not sure why the dome is $279 versus $199 for the Bullet. I don't know if it's more costly to manufacture the dome. I'm not sure. But the G6 PTZ, you can see it has the 10 times zoom, but it also has the same sensor and the same processor. So the G6 range is very, very similar in terms of performance, but if you need a non-PoE device, you get the Instant. If you need something that can do patrol and move and zoom, you do the PTZ. If you don't need either of those, you choose the G6 Bullet or the G6 Dome or the G6 Turret for that matter, depending on the form factor you need. So having said that, let me just show you a few of the other G6 cameras that are now on offer. So there's first of all the G6 Turret, which I don't have. I'm hoping to maybe get my hands on that and also put that up and try it out. But let's see. Has that turret form factor. The AI Turret is still one of my favorite cameras just because of the form factor. They're quite, they're not as intrusive, I guess. Yeah. But later on this year, according to the website, we get the G6 Pro 360. Which is a 360-degree camera. So that says available Q3 2025. Let's see when that comes out. Or whether vandal-resistant 12 megapixel, so a bigger sensor, but a 360 kind of coverage. I haven't used 360 cameras before, so that could be interesting. And then we have the 180, which is this dual lens setup. And I've seen this from a few other manufacturers of security cameras that you have this dual lens that give you really, really, really wide angle. But this is the first time from UniFi, so this will be really interesting. I actually have the perfect place to put this where there is 180-degree view needed. But let's see if I can get my hands on one of those when that comes out, also Q3. So that's the G6 range. It seems like UniFi is trying to cover every angle with the G6 range, and this might be their new range. Some of it seems, I've mentioned this in other videos as well, that it is actually surpassing the AI range, and sometimes it's not. Like you look at the AI PTZ, wow, what a monster. Like that is a huge camera. We're not seeing anything like that with the G6 range yet, and I don't think we will. But in general, the G6 range is becoming very, very broad. All right, let's jump into UniFi Protect. Let's have a quick look at the specs for the G6 Dome. So I'm here with all of my cameras in UniFi Protect and all the other things that comes in Protect. And you can see here I have the G6 Dome is there. I got the G6 Front Garden, which is the G6 Bullet, and the G6 Instant. Now, just a bit of a side note, the only thing I've noticed with the G6 Instant is that I get this, the G6 Instant has a poor Wi-Fi connection. The access point for where this camera is, it's sort of sitting on top of some building materials right now actually, is 3 meters away, 4 meters away. It's right next to it. So, and I constantly get this poor Wi-Fi connection. I don't know why. It seems to be just fine. You can see if I start up the camera, it's running just fine, like in real time. Well, the mower's stuck. That's the Sweeping Beauty. It's stuck, but anyway, we've got to fix that. And that's the only thing. Anyway, if you got anything, if you know why it does this, let me know in the comments. That's the G6 Instant. But we are here for the G6 Dome. Actually, the G6 PTZ is down here. That's for the roundabout. But anyway, the G6 Dome. It has now been running for a little while. And if you've seen any UniFi cameras before, this is not a surprise. It looks very similar, which is a good thing. Like all the cameras are very easy to configure and manage because it's all very familiar once you've done one or two. We have the status, connection, all the usual things. That's not as interesting. We do have alarm managers because Alarm Manager is a great tool if you want to play a bit with it. You can check out, I do go through Alarm Manager to some extent in the AI horn video, which is hilarious because it is loud. Anyway, go check that out. So let's go to the recording settings here. The Recording Manager is like a bulk tool for all the cameras, so you can change one setting for or multiple cameras. I'm not going to go through that here. I always put on record because, you know, I run with the UniFi NVR and hard drives. It's fine. We can record all the time. Recording mode is continuous, so not just events. And we want AI events. And you can see here what it's creating are the currently five available AI events or, you know, smart detections, which is animal, face, license plate, person, and vehicle. Those are the five you can get. Maybe more will come later. There's certainly room for them. We have audio detections. Again, you get a whole bunch here with the G6 range that aren't on the G4 and 5, I believe. So car horn, CO alarm, glass breakage, etc., etc. And then we have, we can choose to create motion events or not. It seems now to be off by default. I haven't changed in these settings before I'm showing you. The motion events are, you know, things that aren't smart detections. So a tree moving or stuff like that. So I tend to put that on just because I like getting those events, but up to you if you want to put them on or not. Recording quality, again, auto frames per second is fine. If you have a specific need, you can press custom and you can choose how many frames per second. Again, smoother video, but clearer still frames is the benefit of having lower frame rate because it doesn't, yeah, anyway. Video compression, I usually put it on auto. Encoding is standard as well. I've learned now through the comments, thank you very much for all those that are commenting. Standard is like H.264, enhanced is 265. I'm not entirely sure what advanced is. Haven't quite figured that out yet. And we can choose the recording resolution. I always use time and camera name and not logo. I don't need the UniFi logo on my footage, but yeah. And we put it on top left. Recording retention, auto, that's fine. Figure out what it is. I'll just apply those changes. And there we go. Now with the motion zones, if you haven't used UniFi cameras before, you can set up where to detect motion. You can set up smart zones, so where to detect smart detections, animal, face, license plate, etc. And it's as simple as moving these things around like this, right? For this, it's fine. I'm going to keep it at the whole thing. There's nothing I need to sort of adjust yet. It might come. Let's close that one. And you can also set up crossing lines. So that's getting an event if something goes from one side to the other of a line. That's kind of neat. I use that for opening my gate when a car drives from the top of the property down. There's a crossing line, so the gate is open by the time you get to it. So little things like that. And privacy blackouts, things you never want to record. Right. Cool. Settings. I'm going to give this a new name. I'm going to call this G6 carport because that's where it is. And then there's the microphone again, sensitivity here. Some jurisdictions, it is not allowed to record audio, ever. Right, so you can disable this permanently. You can disable it when recording, or you can just have noise reduction. Right, so it depends on where you are and what your requirements are. You can put the sound, you can take the sound on or off, or to turn the sensitivity up and down, etc. If you have, for example, the AI key, any smart detection will also be processed for voice. And it might have a transcript of it. So that could be against some law somewhere, for example. Night vision, we're going to keep that on. I'm going to share it with you on and off. And we want a status light. That's fine. Now, one thing I always put on is the RTSPS, the real-time streaming protocol, because I use this in Home Assistant. So I get the cameras into Home Assistant as well. And it needs that protocol. And that's it. That is all there is. Again, if this is your first time seeing a UniFi camera, this is what they all look like. Some of them had little tiny differences depending on what type of camera, but in general, they all have the same settings, which is great because it makes it so easy. All right, let's have a look at the image quality. So here's the dashboard of UniFi Protect, and here's some of the cameras. So if I just, let's just have a look at the big view of the G5 Dome. And it looks like the others. It looks like G6 Bullet. It looks like the PTZ, G6 PTZ kind of quality. It's pretty good. I think it looks very crisp. Yeah, I don't know. Let me know what you think in the comments, of course. I'd love to hear your opinion, but this is very smooth, and you can see that's real time. It's going live now, so I can just take, there we go. You can see the date better. There you go. It is very much a G6 camera like the others. There's nothing here that I wouldn't expect to do. So that's really good. Of course, we can put things on and off here. So we have the shortcuts. Again, if you don't know the shortcuts, you can add shortcuts that let you go to other cameras. So for example, I could click here and see if I go there. I want to go to carport 2. That's where that is. And maybe over here, because that's where the driveway is. So press that. And now I have these shortcuts where I can go from camera to camera. I'll save that. And then here's the smart detections. What do we want to show on the screen? So this again is in real time. Do we want to see face, person, vehicle, animal? Show all on hover. So that if you hover over things, and then we can take a snapshot, and there are some settings here as well, which again are the motion zones, the smart zones, the crossing lines, the overlay information, etc. So those are the same things that we saw before under the settings for the camera itself. And then we can go to image tuning, which I tend to leave alone. I don't do a lot with image tuning, except that for some of the cameras, HDR has seemed to give me a better image with it off, I think. Now, I had some people in the comments saying, hey, it could be that your screen doesn't know how to show HDR properly. Maybe, but I've tried on different, like my phone and the screen and another laptop and a third laptop, and it seems to be the same. So maybe HDR sometimes, I'm not sure. It could just be a software issue as well. It seems with it on here, it seems just fine. It seems really good. So I'm going to just leave it on as it is. But you can change various things here for the image tuning if you want to. You can really go to town on the picture preferences. Again, I don't tend to change them, but you can. So here's a clip of me coming back in the car. So I have added here all the different detections, so they should show. Oh, license plate as well. There we go. I don't think the angle will allow me to read a number plate, but let's try it. So we're going to play, and here's the car coming in just a second. I promise it'll come. Here we go. And, oh, there it is. So we can see, yep, it's an SUV, it's white. It didn't read the number plate, right? The angle's too sharp. I knew that, but that's okay. I've got other cameras that will read number plates. For me, it's okay, but it can do it. And don't forget that when you add all these things, the response time for the camera might be a little bit less. Just a thing to note. The more things you overlay, the slower it might go. But right now, it's doing pretty good. So that's me coming out of the car after picking up the boy. And let's see if it detects me as a person as well. It should. Yep, there you go. 89% sure that that's a person. I don't think it'll do facial recognition. All right, I didn't actually show my face to the camera there, but it will do face recognition as well. And the AI key, again, will improve that if you have an AI key that actually processes the smart detection as well. Yeah, so that looks pretty good. It's pretty smooth. It recognized the car as we expected. Now, let's just have a look at the night vision. And first, I want to show you that it also does animal detection. And so if I play this here, you can see there's the cat coming through. And it is 83% sure that that is a cat. So the animal detection works as well. Now we are at the night vision here. This is properly night. It's 1:30 a.m. And you can see I have some pollution of other cameras, so infrared. So let me just find the bit where I switch those off. Just hang on a second. So here is the image without any infrared. So I've turned off the infrared on all the cameras around it because there was a bit of, infrared pollution. There's a little bit of a light coming here from a window from that room that is next to the carport. It's a tiny light. If you went out there with this dark, when it was this dark, you couldn't see anything. Like, it's just the camera picking up that little bit of light that comes out. But let's just see, when I turn on the infrared in the carport here, how much of a difference it makes. And we'll see if we get anywhere near 30 meters. I'm not sure because it's like confined space, but let's have a look. There we go. Turn on the infrared. And that is how much of a difference it makes to have that infrared light on. And as you know, to the naked eye, you can't see it. So do we get 30 meters? I think we do if it was in the right conditions. If there was, nothing in front of the camera, sure. But in this case, there is a roof. It is inside of a carport. But this is good. It's lighting up everything as far as I can see. There's nothing in the carport I can't see in this field of view. So that's really good. I think it works well. It works like any other G6 camera. There's not much else I can add apart from it works. But let me know in the comments what you think. Is this night vision something that you use, and how would you use it? Yeah. So that's the current range of G6 cameras. There is quite a lot to choose from. There's 2 more coming, well, at least 2 that we know of, according to the website. I would be surprised if there's not a G6 Pro or something to that effect coming, but let's see. What do you think? I'm excited about the G6 range in general. They're much better quality cameras. It seems they're built really well. They have much bigger sensors. They're all 4K. It's just a nice new generation of cameras. And the G6 Dome, it's great for certain scenarios. Like if you have, as it says, a high traffic area where it might get knocked or who knows what, it has that tamper resistance, vandal proofing, which makes that a choice for that. But yeah, they all have their separate use cases. I use them, as I showed you, for various different reasons or different purposes. I'm hoping I can get a G6 turret to set up as well and just sort of see how that works with all the others, just because the AI turret is still probably one of my favorite cameras that I have on the farm. So thank you so much for watching. As always, if you like the content and all the effort I put into it, do consider subscribing. I would love to have you part of the community. That would be awesome if you were even commenting. Yeah, I reply to all comments. Well, almost all comments. Some of them don't require a response. And I enjoy it. I learn so much from all the comments, and I really appreciate all the time and effort you take to interact with it and be part of the community, and maybe even become a member, because I do create other content, behind the scenes content, little short videos, posts, all sorts of things for members only. And that's another option if you want to support the channel. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. But you got to subscribe first. Click subscribe. Have you clicked it? Yeah? Okay, great. I'll see you next time.